So should we just freestyle and then see what comes out of it, or are you feeling an intention or a direction?
No, like just let's go full berserk. Let's just freestyle. Let's be open to anything. While you were like setting up, I did tune in and I felt like two topics that were alive. So maybe we can just start there.
Cool. Okay.
The first topic is really recognizing that we are an instrument and what kind of freedom can be experienced if you see like your body, your reality more so as an instrument that like a song wants to be played through rather than like yeah, I don't know what the opposite to this is. Yeah, rather than being this mechanical body which you have to operate, it's just like a song wants to play for you. You're an instrument, and the more that you can see that, the more that you can open up, the more that you can be almost played like a flute.
Yeah, nice. I think it's a cool point because for most people have their own aspirations and desires, and a lot of them are based on the belief that I am this body and I am this person. And that is such a deep rooted belief in our society. If you think about it, most people have the unconscious assumption of being this person, and that they have their own life trajectory based on that belief. And as we know, with our exploration, with self realization and meditation, and our spiritual journey, so to speak, we are everything but this body. Like, this body is like an avatar in a video game.
Mhm.
So, what could be useful for people is, well, first of all, recognizing that this is an instrument, as you said, and then what is the purpose? Like, how can I use this as an instrument for God or source or for awakening, rather than basing my life on trying to fulfill the desire of the body or of the mind, which doesn't work. Like, it just gets you in a loop of more and more and more suffering.
And also the liberation in it is when you are an instrument, I feel like you would naturally wonder, okay, what is my unique tone? What is the message or the vibration that I want to share? I'm really curious. This is more a little bit like a side note, but if you're familiar with Jeshua's transmission on Heaven on Earth, I remember
No.
Bentinho also once shared it. You would absolutely adore it. I'm sure of it. It's a really beautiful transmission on Heaven on Earth. And also by the end of it, he shares the vision that you can imagine you like trying to stay true to yourself is you're in a grand orchestra and in the beginning you're a little bit anxious because there's many people around you playing their instrument as well, but in order to play your own instrument you have to sort of block that out. You have to focus on your own tone, your own frequency, until you can feel that as vibrant as a crystal glass being like pinged in like a vacuum of space. And then you gotta stay true to that. Not mind other people's song, what they're playing, but just mind your own song, your own service, your own share. And through that process, just like if you go to the gym, you don't want to watch other people working out. You focus on your own, training your own muscles. And this is the same with an instrument. Then you can see like, okay, how can I attune my instrument? How does this instrument work? What is the best, most natural way in which I can fine tune all of the aspects of my being, including my avatar, but also the more subtler realms where you can also influence a lot from your own song.
Love that. Yeah. And this reminds me actually of um, what Ra says about the discipline of the personality. And for the ones that don't know Ra, it's a channel text one of the most famous and foundational also in relation to Bentigno's teaching, called the Law of One, or the raw material. And it's a 3-step process. So it's know yourself, accept yourself, and become the creator. And in a way, trying to jump to becoming the creator without the first the steps is like trying to build a house and starting from the rooftop instead of starting to build from the foundation, because you can't know what your actual signature, like your frequency or your purpose of your calling in life is, if you first don't know who you are. And then of course know yourself is um, double faced, or is dual in that sense, because you have to know your ultimate self or your true self or God or the self, but then you also have to know your flaws and your personality and your ego or your gremlin or your limited self, and you have to shine light on that. Otherwise you can have all of these beautiful songs and transmissions in mind and vision for yourself and your calling, but they're gonna still be like your instrument is not gonna be
Your
attuned.
trumpet is like clogged. There's like a
Exactly.
big in the bass.
Exactly. And there you have the step of accepting yourself, which is also fundamental, which Ra talks about it in terms of accepting simultaneously the perfection of the ultimate self, or of life as it actually is, as Bentinho would say, and accepting or see that yourself with your own imperfections, your person, you could say, is also perfect. It also serves a purpose. It's also designed to be that way because of this game, because of this incarnation, because infinity wants to know itself in form. So for people, it's super helpful, I think, to reframe it in that way, to not see your human persona as something that you have to like fix and change and all of that stuff, but to see that it is on purpose. Even that you suffer, the fact that you suffer is on purpose, because then you're going to have a catalyst of something that accelerates your journey and is going to bring you closer to wanting to seek, okay, why am I actually here? What am I doing in this simulation, in this planet, in this video game? Whereas if it would be without the challenges, then you would just be dreaming all the time and you wouldn't want to seek awakening.
Hmm. I spoke with some people about this also yesterday, that you want all the emotions. You want the full spectrum of the human experience. Not only like the high notes or suppress all the negative feelings, but it's just like if you would be presented with a piano. Imagine only having the high notes. Yes, you can do a little bit with it, but you want the full spectrum, also the deep notes. You want to be able to move through those heavier tones as well, and then through that contrast, you can find your balance and your unique tune, your unique song.
So good. I totally resonate with that. And with that, Ash actually wanted to ask you a question, um, which is, what do you feel is your edge right now, or your the challenge that feels more catalytic or difficult for you in accepting yourself? Like what's your edge at the moment? And I can also share afterwards, but I'm curious about you first.
I love this question also because or actually always, because it always invites something. Like it feels it's challenging, it's inviting, like, okay, lean into, like you said, where your edge is. But you mentioned it in specific regards to accepting myself, right? Where my edge is right now in accepting myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, part of it feels like deep, layered emotions that to some extent, even though like I'm preaching this message, like you want to feel all the emotions, to some extent, I feel like, and I might be doing this unconsciously that I don't always notice it, but I have a bias towards like not really feeling that or opening up to that and allowing that to also flow through me. I can think like of many programming which might keep me from doing this. Like, okay, as a man, I have to keep my composure. I cannot, whatever, show these emotions. But I do feel like there's so much power. And like you said, it's kind of an edge where the edge is like where the expansion is possible and leaning more into, yeah, whatever comes up, allow that to be. Do not resist it. Do not cover it up. Do not distract yourself. Truly embrace all of your emotions, everything that you have been through, and to some extent also learn to, yeah, just hold that in the light until you can like see through it and actually forgive it, or as you say, like accept it. I think that is my like my strongest edge regarding this with accepting myself.
Super cool topic. Also, I think um, for people, that is also such a struggle, and especially for men, I would say, because we have this image of like the man has to be strong, like the strong pillar. Um, there's this image in society, which holds some truth. Um, it's nice for a man to feel stable, to feel needless, to feel connected to my own will and to my own power. But that doesn't come through like hustle and control and trying to fix yourself. And that's such a paradigm shift where when we see that the teachings, for instance, Bentigno's teachings, which we follow, um, but all true teachings don't point actually to what you were saying of separating yourself and just seeing the positive, just wanting to play on the high notes and then trying to avoid all the lower, more gross human aspects of yourself, but actually embrace the wholeness of yourself. One of my favorite sessions from the Bentigno lives, which is called um, "Face Yourself, Illuminate the Shadows." Um, Bentigno says exactly this: you have to embrace the wholeness of yourself, and the wholeness means that in potential you are all things. You are the rapist, you are the killer, you are the manipulator. And until we actually see that all of those things actually exist in us, of course, I'm not physically a killer or manipulator, all of that, but in potential, in my subtler intelligence or energy field, I am a fractal, I am a refraction of all there is. So all there is exists in me. And when you
Hmm.
actually see how those parts of yourself exist in you and actually condition your expression, you see, oh, I actually tried to manipulate the person. I actually tried to wanted to seek something out of that intimate relationship that I was seeking, or out of my attachment to food, or whatever it is. When you actually see how those patterns play in you, then you're becoming an embodiment. Then you're taking responsibility. Then you're actually starting to become a man or a woman of God in that sense. Um, Before that, I think, at least for myself, it was like big awakenings and like having visions and whatever. But I was still playing in like an infant in a way, in the realm of, at least in the realm of service, of course. Even if you just recognize that you're infinite being, that is just it's already abundant and is already at service. But then for those of us that want to be in service to the collective and shepherd the collective and create a positive momentum for the planet, then it's fundamental that we embrace all of those aspects of ourselves, and then we can offer, we are the solution to what people are seeking. It's not really like there is a problem and a solution, we know it's not that linear, but so to speak, we are the change that we want to see in the world. We start to embody that, and it's an infinite process of refinement, even at the higher levels, which you know there are infinite levels. So it's not like one day you have finally embraced yourself and like you have illuminated all your shadows and you're like Jesus. No, it's a humbling process, or at least for me, it's a humbling process of, for instance, when I receive a reflection or I see something due to a circumstance or someone reflects me, it's like okay, can I hold the charge? Can I be triggered, so to speak, and like actually see what is this pointing me to? What is this perfect for? What is my next level without collapsing into judgment or protection or avoidance? Um, so yeah, I think all of this is such a valuable material and threads for seekers, because especially for wanderers, if people are familiar with these terms, there is this tendency of like, or at least for me in my journey, just being in the higher realms and not wanting to embrace it
Hmm.
all.
Now, for those wondering, by the way, the session that was talked about, you can find for free on YouTube. You said illuminating the shadow. And for both of us, Bentino, he's also a teacher. He has been very inspirational and just very helpful on my path. Been following him for 10 plus years. So if you feel calling, you can always find him on YouTube or on other platforms. But one thing that you mentioned, which I want to continue on, which I feel like feeds the, because you want the total picture, right? You just don't only want like the high notes. You're here for the full human experience, and especially in those places where we rather not look, which we rather suppress, look the other way, point to other people. Those are the places where like truly is like the manure, like the true expansion, where there's so much fertility. And one thing that you were speaking to, uh, like the humility that comes with this, and this has been recently also for me like a game changer. It has been mentioned before by our teacher. So the golden attitude is basically where you prioritize learning, just the intention of learning above any of your own perspectives. And if you keep this desire in your mind and heart at all times, then you can approach anything with that spirit of, at the same time, confidence, like I'm open to learning, but at the same time also with sort of a knowing, like I don't really know, I'm just open to whatever feels true, whatever feels aligned in the moment. And through that way you can actually navigate yourself, also look at yourself in a humble confidence where you can approach everything, okay, in a lighthearted spirit, like, okay, what is this that I've been looking away from? What is this feeling, this sensation? And then surely by little bit dissolve it, but it truly feels like to keep that attitude in your mind and heart at all times is, as Bentino also speaks about, is a key to growth and for any civilization or group to truly flourish in a harmonized way.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And by the way, maybe you can place the link to the Bentinho Live that we mentioned in the description if people want to check it out.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I just wanted to maybe mention a few lived examples from my hand where I was humbled in my life. So also to make it practical and experiential for people that are listening.
Nice.
Um, there are many. Humbleness is one of
I'm
the
sure we
most,
all got a wide array of experiences that
yeah. Yeah, especially, I mean, for me it was the spiritual ego. You know, the spiritual persona, when you build another layer of your ego around your own spirituality, and then you find out that all of the things that you believed, oh, like I'm actually self-realized, I'm like Jesus walking on earth, and all that. Sadly, of course, maybe you don't tell it to yourself. Otherwise, maybe you're kind of deluded.
seek some help.
But yeah, but I mean, it gets subtler than that, because we all have those places where we think, oh, I I know that like there are things, there are spiritual principles or things about life that we think we know. Like we know, I know what our things are, or I know or how things should go in the world. I know that this is wrong, then vegan is wrong, or carnivore is wrong, or left is good and right is wrong. And or in relationship with other people, for example, for me, like I would get some reflections. For example, you're in a meeting situation, for instance, at work, and then someone makes you notice, oh, in that moment when you were sharing, you weren't actually trying to contribute to the whole and to the purpose of that meeting or that project. You were actually trying to seek validation for yourself. You were actually trying to look good. For instance, you were saying all of that spiritual things, but you weren't actually connected to the
Mm.
intention of that moment. And that can create discomfort in your system. Like the first reaction is no. No, I wasn't. No, it wasn't me. It was
Look
you
over
guys.
there, something crazy happening.
It was you guys. It was me. But then when you actually if you're and I would suggest for everyone to actually, especially for people that are in this journey, to seek environments in which it is considered safe to reflect people in that way, where it doesn't become like a judgment, but just, I noticed that thing. I think if we use the term reflect like a mirror, I mirror something to you. I tell you, oh, I noticed that thing, and I think it was self-serving. It wasn't with the intention of serving others or serving the intention of what we were doing at that moment. Then why wouldn't you look at it? Why wouldn't you look at that? Because your ego wants to protect itself. But then if you actually have the courage to see, okay, I know that I'm unlimited awareness, I'm God, so what do I have to lose to look at an aspect of myself that I don't like or that feels uncomfortable? So you just, okay, I'm actually available. Like, God, show me what is in here for me, as you were saying, what is in here for me to learn, the golden attitude. And there is when the juice of spiritual awakening becomes available for you in terms of accepting yourself. Because there you see, oh, I was actually trying to seek validation. I was actually trying to impress others because I have a lack belief, I believe that I'm this person with these agendas that lacks all of those things and needs to obtain something from the outside to be fulfilled. But I am not that. I am not that. I am awareness. I am a soul free being. So then you look at it and it's just an aspect of yourself that you have disowned, because it doesn't matter really what the root cause is. If you see it, that's good. If you can eviscerate all of the causal aspects of it, but just seeing where you're coming from lack and from need, that is, oh, so valuable. I just get excited talking about it after some time actually applying the teachings.
Yeah, there's so much in what you just shared. I would just love to sort of weave it together with the perspective that we started off with regarding the instrument. If your life basically is an instrument, which I would say it is, to like honor the divine or honor God, it's like an ode to all of creation. Wouldn't you want to know when you're playing out of harmony? When instead of praising all there is, being of service, sharing yourself unconditionally, you're sort of, and this is what we call the gremlin or the ego, slightly hijacks your tune, and it sounds kind of like off. To everything else, it sounds like off, but maybe to you, it's like a little self. I don't know. It's a little bit difficult to speak to, but you become like self obsessed in a way. Instead of honoring the whole, you make it about this little thing about me, instead of just being radiant, open, and giving. And one thing which I feel like should almost, I don't think it should be like a warning, but if you want to start this process, you could say the spiritual journey, but we don't even have to call it that. Just the process of becoming the truest version of yourself, most authentic, most transparent to your truth. You better be ready to see those things, to see those shadows, to actually embrace those, and to, again, take them in a light-hearted way, not make them anything personal, mean about you, but they're just in your natural divine instrument. There are like little things that are um, keeping you from just playing harmonious with the beauty, the bounty that is everywhere around us. And when I feel like you consciously choose, like, okay, I'm going to turn everything inside out, anything that is not truly me, I will get rid of it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if I don't like it, if I get triggered, if I have to take some time to transmute it. But I feel like there's nothing more empowering than taking on this spiritual journey and being like, okay, I'm going to take it all the way. I'm not going to do it like, oh, I do all the nice spiritual things. But when it gets uncomfortable, when I have to face my own shadows, then I'll quit. No, please, if you ever go on this journey or you have a desire within your heart to just become the truest, authentic, realize the truth, whatever word you put to it, go for it completely. And once you go for it completely, there's already a deeper underlying sense of acceptance, openness. And with this golden attitude, I feel like there's nothing that can truly stop you because, in a sense, God is with you. The one, the infinite one, is with you. So, no matter what kind of heavy catalyst you encounter, it will always be filtered through this light, through this love, through this golden mean. What can I learn? How can I move beyond this? How can I be of service? And then you'll be like a beacon for others, encouraging also, like, hey, you can just play your song. You're a beautiful instrument. Yes, you might be a little bit crooked, but you're in absolute sense, you're already perfect. Let's just clean this up and then radiating pure bliss and love.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and I also wanted to underline a common pitfall in this process. People get so lost in shadow work. And this is like, it's important that this is not what this thing is all about. It's not to know all of your causal beliefs and traumas from all of past lives. That it's not about that. It's really not about it, because then it becomes an obsession again, as you were saying.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I had so much with it, like being obsessed about your own image. Also for men, that's something, like as a man, you don't want to be obsessed about this. You want to be at service, you want to be radiant. So all of this is in function of becoming a creator or knowing God or whatever we want to call it. Like there are many names to point to this, but it's one thing. So this serves us to get to a deeper level of self-realization and empowerment, where we can actually radiate, as you were saying, your light to others. You're generally like, imagine what your life would be. This is maybe something that people that are listening can tune into. Imagine what your life would be if it would be focused on internally, so to speak, knowing yourself, knowing God, knowing infinity, knowing source. And then on an outer level, not that there is an actual distinction, they become more and more one, but so to speak, on an outer level, your sole intention or your main intention would be to be at service to others. Then this work becomes valuable, because you can't be a service to others if you're not connected to love and acceptance and power and beauty within yourself. You can't be, because then all of your attempts to serve others will be just a projection, because you don't accept yourself, so you try to change others and you think you're doing good for the planet, but you're not doing good. Or at least not as good as you could be, in expression. So, and another pointer, which, I mean, this could be a whole call about it, but everything is always already accepted as it is. That's why we don't need to change anything. If you tune into the fact that you are, if you tune into awareness, awareness doesn't resist everything, because awareness knows only itself. There is this field of intelligence which knows only its own vibration, its own energy. It's one field, one thing. We are one. That is actually true. And everything we experience is a reflection of that or an expression of that. And also your gremlin or your perversion or your distortions or whatever, your distorted desires, those are also made of awareness. So it's just a matter of being able to shine that awareness on those aspects of ourselves, or being able to recognize awareness in the midst of the challenger or the catalyst or the trigger. If you can recognize, oh, there is a stability, there is a place within myself which is stable no matter what. No matter what happens, I am that. Then your awakening deepens. Then your channels for grounding, for channeling that energy becomes to open. And in that sense, it's a gradual process of recalibrating or refining, of becoming more subtle in your expression. So I think that's very important for people to understand, that it is not about shadow work. It's really not about that. It's about the light at the end of the day. It's about the oneness and being honorable in relation to the oneness, and being honorable in relation to what we know to be true, because we can know many things, but what matters is where am I coming from? Where am I acting from? Am I acting from what I know to be true, or do I know all of these things, but then my life is still based on the belief of being a person?
Hmm. Feels like the question to me is my instrument in alignment with the whole? Or you could say with the truth or with the one. You can use that just as a question to realign yourself. Am I harmonized with the whole? Do I feel like I'm speaking my truth to the best of my ability? Or do I feel like I'm just repeating some programs that I picked up that are not truly in harmony with who I am, what I'm about, and to not outsource your power to that, because you have the free will to fine tune your instrument. And you don't have to. This is the beauty of free will. It's all about choice. Do you want to choose to be of service, or do you want to choose to just play your own game the way you're playing right now? All of it is fine, but just make sure it's a conscious choice, not like unconsciously out of comfort. It's the biggest regret for people at the end of their life that they didn't do something which was true to them. So to really
Absolutely.
also bring it back to that basic, like, okay, what is really true to me? So that you're not fucking 80 years old and you're like, oh, fuck, I lived a life not true to myself, didn't do all the things I did, just did whatever society told me. This is just, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I get really about this topic. Like, you have to choose something. This is like your moment. Every moment is a moment to choose something that you love. Why would you not choose anything that you love? That which you love holds the gift, the secret, the blessings, all that you need. So find something that you truly, holistically love, something that you're willing to devote yourself to, that even through whatever harsh reflections or difficult catalysts, you can still be like, no, this is what I'm devoted to, whatever it is. If it's fishing, let it be fishing, but just find something that you're devoted to, that you like deeply care about and love. I think it's so beautiful to care about something, in a sense, to make something important, not in an insistent way, but just like in a devotional way. This is important for me, just like how we do this for us. It's important to be of service, to share, and anybody else is free to do whatever they wish, but just find something that truly resonates with you. Start singing it, start playing it. Maybe some other people will resonate with it as well. They might wake up, they hear your song, and they're like, wow, I resonate with that. I love that. And then they start dancing too, they start cleaning their pipelines. And before you know it, this whole world is like a beautiful orchestra harmonizing, everyone playing their songs, and just the infinite divine intelligence guides us for it all to be in harmony naturally. And all we have to do is just stay true to what we feel is most aligned in our hearts.
I love that, Max. Beautiful, beautiful pointer, and just reminded me of the song from Eminem. You gotta lose yourself in the moment. You own it. You better never let it go. Oh, like that's the attitude, to come
Yes.
from. That's the attitude. You don't want to spend your life based on someone else's desire. That is not. There is simply not worth it. There is not why you're here. And wow, if we can, as you were saying, if we can just stay true to that in our day-to-day life and like be honorable, and say, okay, I'm gonna be committed. I want to play this game. I want to be in a way in the world without being of the world, as
Mm.
Jesus was saying with a lot of wisdom. Um, but it's just magnetic. When I hear you speak about this, I get excited. When I was hearing you right now speaking about this, I got excited. It's like a natural transmission of energy, and that is such a contrast with living a life. And I think we're going full circle with the beginning of the call where we started from, which is such a contrast when you're living your calling, when you're living your actual soul calling, what you decided to be before, even before your body was born. When you're living from that place, instead of trying to fulfill, whatever desire or ambition or all the conditioning, all the things that society tells us that are important to us. If you actually be able to see, are you honorable, and you're like, okay, I'm what am I trying to base my life on? Am I coming from truth, or am I coming from lack? And be able to see all the places where we are actually trying to fulfill our own lack beliefs, and then be honorable and say, how can I bring truth to this? How can I step
Mhm.
up? And it's in each moment. In each moment, we have an opportunity to do that. In each and every moment. Where am I coming from? What I am identified as? Do I know myself as the great I am, which is one with all beings right now? Am I coming from there, or am I coming from the person? Um, yeah, and it's so valuable. All of this is so valuable for people. And then, if we have a vision, and maybe this is the high note that we can close this topic with. Um, if we have a vision, because we all have it somewhere, of what will this new world look like when we all have that baseline as the foundation of our lives. As the channeling that you were mentioning, I didn't read it, but this beautiful orchestra where everyone is attuned to its own unique expression, and then there is also natural unification with the whole. Like, can you guys imagine how heaven on earth will look like, where we are all our own version of Jesus, or of the superhero that we saw in the movies, or even of the simple father of a family, or whatever it looks like. That's unique for each of us. We don't need to be everyone like a superhero in. Like a James Bond in a movie. It could be in the simple things of day-to-day life, of course, but never. It's kind of a cliche, but in that sense, awake, and then let the actual cosmic dream never stop dream as the creator of what you can be in service to others. And then when we start from there, when we start from ourselves, we're gonna see the shifts in our actual reality. We're gonna stop living in the matrix. That is really going to happen, not how we imagine it to be, because then it's a process of surrender and trust and all of that. But it's not going to be the same around us. We're not going to meet the same people. Not going to do the same job. It's going to be a natural flow of inspiration and trust and service and courage. And we're going to just fall in love with our lives. And the world is going to transform in front of our very eyes. And everything that we thought that it was wrong outside of ourselves, well, that is gonna be rendered perfect. And I think that's why we are here in a nutshell.
Nice, man. Beautiful. Would be cool to do like a little series on this because I
Yes.
love what this has sparked in us. I do feel like it would be nice to have like one last topic, and this is just to be transparent because you recently offered me a reflection with my channel to be able to make our whatever we share like bridge it. So really make this available for everyone. And maybe even this call, we might use some terms or some teachers or things that you're not familiar with. But that's why we're inviting, and this is also maybe still a little bit back and forth, which we can have. Like, how are we actually going to bridge this message? Because I truly believe for this world, what you just pertain to what some people call like heaven on earth, like a true happy dream for humanity. And it's so exciting to tune into that. It truly feels like, yes, that is that is why we're here. No other reason for being here but to support that in the best way we can, facilitate that beautiful transformation. But then also the challenge, because both of us has been in the, you could say, doing this work for quite some time, but then to be able to bridge it to other versions of ourselves. For example, when I was 18 years old, I didn't have these things. I was going to go to university. I imagined myself, okay, I'm going to be a businessman, blah, blah, blah. And then I wonder, like, okay, how can we transmit this message to such a person, the person that might be listening to this, and really make it understandable? And also to invite anyone who's watching this to put in the comments, like, what resonates, what don't you understand, maybe some clarification, maybe even some reflections for us, but just this beautiful challenge of like, how can we bridge this? How can we make this accessible for anyone who it might resonate with in their heart?
Absolutely. If you guys got so far in the video, feel free to leave any comment that well, congrats.
Yeah, I
You're
was gonna say
you,
so.
great seeker. And
Thanks.
feel free to leave any comment on what Max shared. If anything of what we discussed felt abstract or not clear, or you have any questions or something that you would love to hear more for your own life, for your own growth, feel free to share, because one of the things that I really feel, and also the reason why I love doing this with Max, and I love this first call, but I really want to take on the challenge and actually be in, in circuitry with you guys, to be transparent, to be where are we actually at, to be in service to you, to being able to actually bridge the high notes of the message to our day-to-day practical life. There is nothing more valuable for me to do at the moment in relation to this potential series that we can do together. So if anyone got anything valuable from this video, and if you want any clarification, feel free to drop a comment, and we'll gladly do perhaps a whole call on topics that feel resonant with you guys, that you're interested in, because I really want to help the seeker which want to implement this in day-to-day life. So that's great. I would love that.
Oh, I feel like cheering, man. And also, I just felt the potential, maybe down the line, even invite some of you. If you really feel like you have something, we could also hop on a call with all
Awesome.
of us and then just discuss. Let's put it all on the table and let's just all, yeah, benefit.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Max. It was
Thank
beautiful.
you, man. And last but not least, this was my first time hosting. I forgot to introduce yourself, to introduce you. So if you wish, please introduce yourself. Also tell people where they can find you.
Well, my name is Simone. Let's start from there. Um, what to say? Well, I'm right now. I love Bentinho's teachings. I started following him a few years ago, and I'm a lifelong spiritual seeker. Although I'm young in my age, I'm 25 or something like that. Um, and during the last, I think, um, 8 to 10 years, I embarked on a spiritual journey of self-discovery, of awakening, of self-realization, and I just love to share this message in the most pure way I can with everyone. Um, at the moment, well, maybe we can also have sometimes explain better what is Masaru University, which is a platform for the sincere spiritual seeker and a community where you guys can find support on these teachings. We have weekly calls, we have workshops, we have live sessions. Um, I think it's valuable to every sincere, genuine seeker. Both me and Max are there, and I'm currently spending most of my time working for Masaru University, um, doing all of the good stuff behind the scenes there. Um, so I would suggest to check that out, but maybe we can expand on that on a different call. At the moment, I'm not very active teaching for myself, So I won't leave any any suggestion for an Instagram or a social media. Although I am there, I post stuff from time to time, but I'm not very active. So if anything, I would suggest Masari University. You guys can find us there. Yeah, and I'm just lover of truth. I am in love with truth and with seeking what is actually real about us and how we can implement that in our existence. And it's a whole journey for me, and I will be more than happy to talk about it in later sessions.
Thank you so much, man. Truly an honor, and
Thank
looking
you.
forward to the next co-creations. Thank you, everyone, for watching.